Reverend Moon received heaven's call in 1935 at the tender age of 15. Through endless prayer and research of the truth, he systematized the divine principle just prior to the liberation of Korea from colonial rule in 1945. He has pioneered the course of the true parent and true teacher to lead the spirit of the age. He took the lead in bringing an end to the Cold War, and in the post-Cold War era has built up the foundation for world peace, breaking down the barriers between religions, races, and nations in order to ease conflicts between cultures and to close the gap between rich and poor. He has initiated activities for peace throughout the world in many fields of human endeavor, from religion, politics, science, and technology, to the media, culture, the arts, sports, and relief and service activities. All these efforts pointed toward one goal, the realization of one global family under God, and a world of peace based on the ideals of interdependence, common prosperity, and universally shared values. On October 3rd, 2003, Reverend and Mrs. Sun Myung Moon consolidated all these foundations in New York by inaugurating the Interreligious and International Peace Council, the Peace UN, in the presence of world leaders representing all aspects of society. This was to meet the most urgent need to bring about a UN-type organization that allows religious leaders to directly participate in the process leading to peace, renewing the UN so that it can be restored to its rightful position as a sanctuary for world peace, resolving global issues in this global age. Immediately after its inception, the IIPC established offices in Seoul, Korea, and launched its activities by establishing peace embassies in the 7 nations of Korea, the United States, Britain, France, Germany, Japan, and Italy, many among which had fought each other during the Second World War. This organization will promote the establishment of a bicameral system within the UN with the purpose of transcending the self-interest of member nations by establishing an interreligious and international council. The UN became the guardian of peace during the Cold War era, following the end of the Second World War in 1945. Ever since he began emphasizing the renewal of the United Nations in his meeting with former U.S. President Eisenhower in 1965, Reverend Moon has called for the establishment of a committee within the UN made up of religious leaders from the world's diverse faiths. Finally, after nearly 3 decades, in September 1993, the gates to the UN opened for Reverend Moon's wife, Dr. Hak Ja-han Moon. Since then, those international organizations launched by Reverend and Mrs. Moon that have been granted the status of United Nations NGOs have actively expanded the movement for peace, at times involving Nobel laureates and present and former heads of state in their events and initiatives. Reverend Moon has invited both current and former heads of state and a diverse cross-section of leaders from various fields to take on the mantle of ambassadors for peace in order to accelerate both the renewal of the UN and the work for global peace.
Yes, being an ambassador for peace is an honor. When you work for peace, and you have been working for peace a long years, you feel this is a kind of an accomplishment, and I appreciate it very, very much.
One major focus of the IIPC is contributing to the peace process in the Middle East. How can this conflict, with its origins rooted in centuries past, come to an end? During the Christmas season in 2003, international peace events hosted by the IIFWP and IIPC under the slogan Heart to Heart were held in Jerusalem, Ramallah, and the Gaza Strip, the heart of the Middle East conflict. These efforts included the Jerusalem Peace March, service activities in Israel and areas under the Palestinian Authority, the International Symposium for Peace, and the coronation ceremony for Jesus. This was the first time such large-scale and diverse peace activities have been held in locations on both sides of the conflict since the establishment of modern Israel in 1948. The highlight of these events was a ceremony in which representatives of different faiths, including Jewish leaders, presented Jesus with a crown. The essential solution to the Middle East conflict is a religious one, and at its core is the question of who Jesus of Nazareth really was. Herein lies the reason that religious reconciliation must come before political solutions. The coronation ceremony of Jesus as the King of the Jews became the first step in bringing about true reconciliation and unity between the three major faiths. A candle, symbolizing Reverend Moon's hopes for peace and love, was conveyed to the religious representatives. The light from this candle will bring the 2,000-year history of animosity between the three faiths of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam toward the point of reconciliation. And this will become the beacon of peace to dispel the darkness in the Middle East.
And not only from me, from all the Christian people. And we hope to see him very soon in the land of peace, in the Terra Santa, in the Holy Land. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
אתם עושים עבודה קדושה, נותנים לנו הרבה מאוד תקווה, ואנחנו מעומק הלב מודים לכם על העבודה שאתם עושים ועל עצם זה שבאתם בימים כל כך קשים להיות כאן איתנו ולהמשיך את המאמצים להנהיג שלום במזרח התיכון. אני מברך אתכם וגם מזמין אתכם שהרלי הבא יתקיים כאן בעיר הסבלנות, העיר חיפה, שיודעת מעל 100 שנים לחיות בשלום עם כל חלקי האוכלוסייה, יהודים וערבים כאחד,